Let me tell you a little secret. Have you ever watched English movies, joined language classes, even memorized grammar rules, but when it's time to speak, your mind just goes blank? The words disappear. You freeze. You want to speak, but nothing comes out. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. So many learners feel the same way. You've worked hard, you've followed the rules, you've done everything your teacher told you, and still you ask yourself, why can't I speak fluently? The truth? You're probably missing one key ingredient. Something simple, but powerful. It's something most learners overlook. Reading. Yes, reading. I know it might not sound exciting at first. You might think reading is too hard or reading is boring. But trust me, reading is one of the most powerful tools to boost your English. It introduces you to new words without the stress. It teaches you grammar without the confusion. It even builds your speaking confidence without you realizing it. And here's the best part. You don't have to memorize long word lists. You don't have to write endless notes. All you have to do is read. Reading feeds your brain English in the most natural way, just like a child learning their first words. Little by little, your brain begins to recognize patterns. You see the same words again and again. You start to understand how sentences are built. You learn naturally, without pressure. And reading doesn't have to be boring at all. You can read short stories, comics, fun articles, fairy tales, whatever brings you joy. When learning is fun, you learn more. When it's simple, you do it more often. And the more you read, the better you'll speak. So stick with me. I'm going to guide you step by step. Even if you're just starting out, you can do this. By the end, you'll understand why reading is the secret weapon for mastering English. Let's dive in. So, why should I read in English? It's a question I hear all the time. I already go to class. I do grammar exercises. I even watch movies in English. Isn't that enough? It's a great question, and I totally get it. You're doing your part. You're putting in the effort. But let me be honest with you. If you truly want to master English, not just understand a little, not just survive in conversations, but really feel confident and natural, then you need to read. Reading is more than just helpful. It's essential. It's the secret sauce, the missing puzzle piece in your learning journey. When you read, your brain starts to see how English actually works in real life. You're not looking at rules or isolated words. You're seeing full, natural sentences, just like native speakers use. You see real grammar in action. You learn new words in context, which means your brain understands the meaning based on the words and ideas around it. And the best part, you don't need to stop and study each word. You don't need a dictionary every 5 seconds. Just keep reading and slowly, your brain starts to remember the words naturally. They become familiar. They start to stick. Let's talk about grammar. I know grammar can be confusing, right? But here's the good news. You don't have to memorize every rule to use grammar correctly. When you read a lot, your brain gets used to the rhythm of English. You start to recognize the patterns. You'll read a sentence and think, this just sounds right. That feeling comes from repeated exposure, not from studying charts, but from reading real language over and over again. It's like music. You don't learn a song by reading sheet music. You learn by listening and repeating. Language works the same way. And guess what? Reading helps your spelling too. The more you see a word, the more your brain remembers how it looks. You won't have to wonder, is it receive or receive? Because your eyes have seen the correct spelling enough times that it just feels right. The magic of reading is this. It teaches you without pressure. No tests, no stress. Just you, a story, and the language gently entering your mind, sentence by sentence, page by page. And remember, you don't need to read difficult textbooks or boring material. Choose something fun, something light. Read what you enjoy. A funny comic, a short story, a children's book, even simple blogs or Instagram captions. If it's interesting, you'll keep going. And the more you enjoy it, the more you'll learn, without even noticing. So next time you feel stuck in your English, don't just do another grammar quiz. Pick up something to read. You'll be surprised how powerful this one habit can be. Now that you know why reading matters, let's move on to the next chapter, where I'll show you exactly what to read and how to make it a daily habit, even if you're super busy. Let me share something powerful with you. If you only hear a word, sure, you might recognize the sound, but do you know how to spell it? Probably not. That's where reading becomes your secret weapon. When you read, you see the same words again and again. Slowly, without even trying, you start to remember how they're spelled. It just clicks. Now, I know a lot of people say, speaking is the most important skill. And I get it. Speaking feels active, exciting, alive. When you're speaking, it feels like you're really using the language. But here's the truth. Before you can speak well, you need something much deeper. You need to understand a lot of English first. In language learning, we call this input. Input is everything you take in, everything you hear and read. And without enough input, your brain doesn't have the material it needs to produce good output, like speaking or writing. Think of a baby. A baby listens to hundreds of hours of language before they ever say mama. And you're the same. Adult or not, the process is still the same. Reading gives you more input than almost anything else. And the best part, you go at your own pace. You can slow down. You can reread. You don't have to worry about making mistakes. A book won't laugh at you. A book doesn't judge. It just sits there waiting patiently, ready to help you grow. And there's something even more incredible. When you read often, you start to think in English. Now, this is a game changer. Most learners translate everything in their heads, sentence by sentence, from their native language to English. And that takes time. It causes mistakes. But reading trains your brain to feel how English sentences flow. Over time, your brain starts making faster connections. You stop translating. You start thinking in English naturally. And when that happens, everything changes. Let me tell you a quick story. I had a student named Maria from Brazil. She could speak English, but very slowly. She paused a lot. She was always searching for the next word. She told me, "I want to speak faster." I said, "Then try reading." She looked confused. "But I want to speak, not read." Still, she gave it a try. She started small, just one simple story each night before bed. Nothing big, just 10 minutes. After 2 months, something amazing happened. She walked into class, and she was speaking faster, smoother, better grammar, more confidence. No grammar books, no flashcards, just reading. Reading worked for Maria. It worked for me, and it will work for you too. Whether you want to grow your vocabulary, improve your grammar, write more clearly, spell better, or yes, even speak better, it all starts with reading. And here's the thing, you don't need to read for hours. Even 10 minutes a day can make a huge difference. But you do need to be consistent. Make it a habit. Make it part of your life, like brushing your teeth or having breakfast. Reading isn't just something nice to do. It's the foundation of language learning. It's where everything begins. Now you understand. Reading is the first step to thinking clearly, writing smoothly, and speaking confidently. And in the next chapter, we're going to take things even deeper. Get ready, because I'm going to show you exactly what happens inside your brain when you read. You'll be amazed at how much is happening behind the scenes, and why reading helps you learn faster than you ever imagined. Let's take a look at what's really happening inside your brain when you read, because it's more amazing than you think. When you read, your brain is doing many things at once. You're looking at words. You're thinking about meaning. You're even hearing the sentence in your head. Yes, even if you're reading silently, it's like your brain is having a full English conversation with itself. And as you read more and more, something magical happens. Your brain starts to understand how English works, without you even trying. Let me explain. When you sit down and do grammar exercises, what are you doing? You try to remember the rules. Okay, this is the past tense. This is present perfect. I need to put have before the verb. That's fine, but let's be honest, it's hard. Why? Because you're using your short-term memory, and short-term memory doesn't last long. You forget the rule tomorrow, or in an hour. But when you read a story, something changes. You see the same grammar again and again in real, natural sentences. You're not thinking about the rule anymore. You're just enjoying the story. But guess what? Your brain is still paying attention. Quietly, in the background, it's noticing the grammar. It's seeing how it works, over and over. And that's what we call natural grammar learning. You're not memorizing it, you're feeling it. That's the kind of learning that sticks. You didn't study that rule, you didn't memorize it, you just saw it again and again, and your brain learned the pattern. That's comprehensible input. That means you're reading something that's easy enough to understand, but not too easy. You might not know every word, but you understand the meaning. You're not stressed, you're not tired, you're just enjoying the story. And that's when real learning happens. When you enjoy what you read, your brain relaxes. And when your brain is relaxed, it's like a sponge. It learns faster, deeper, and longer. That's why reading is more powerful than grammar drills, more powerful than tests, more powerful than trying to memorize a list of 50 random words. Reading is where transformation begins. So if you want to supercharge your English, don't just study it. Live it, through stories, through words, through reading, one page at a time. You see, when you read, you're feeding your brain thousands of real English examples, real grammar, real vocabulary, real spelling. And the best part? You don't have to try to memorize them. Your brain does the work for you, quietly, slowly, naturally. No pain, no pressure. This is exactly how children learn. They don't sit with grammar books. They don't take tests. They just hear language every day, again and again. And then one day, they speak. You're doing the same thing, but through reading. That's why reading works. Now let's compare that to how most people learn English, the traditional way. Most learners spend years in English classes. They memorize grammar rules. They write out vocabulary lists. They practice speaking drills over and over. And yet, after all that, they still struggle. They still make basic mistakes. They still freeze when it's time to speak. Why? Because they're learning English the old-fashioned way, a way that doesn't match how the brain really learns a language. Let me tell you a story about a student of mine. His name was Ahmed. Ahmed studied English for 6 years in school. He could fill in grammar worksheets like a pro. He passed tests with no problem. But when he joined my class and had to speak, he couldn't. He said things like, "I go yesterday market." He knew it was wrong, but he didn't know how to fix it, and it made him frustrated. He looked at me and asked, "Why can't I speak? I know the grammar." And I told him one simple thing: start reading. He didn't believe me. He said, "But I need to speak, not read." Still, I encouraged him. I said, "Just try it. Read 15 minutes a day. Pick something easy. No dictionary. Just enjoy the story." 1 month later, Ahmed came back different. He spoke better. He sounded more natural. His grammar improved, his vocabulary expanded, and guess what? He didn't study a single grammar rule during that month. All he did was read. Why did that happen? Because reading gives you something traditional learning never can. A feeling for the language, a natural rhythm, an instinct. When you read, you don't think, is this present perfect or past simple? You just see the sentence. You see it again and again. And one day you feel what's right. You hear what sounds natural. And this isn't just my opinion. Let me share something powerful, a real study done in Fiji. Researchers there tested 3 groups of English learners. Group 1 learned grammar the traditional way. Group 2 read silently in class every day. Group 3 listened while their teacher read stories aloud. So what happened? The 2 reading groups outperformed the grammar group, not only in reading, but also on grammar tests. Yes, you heard that right. The students who never studied grammar rules, who just read stories, did better on grammar exams than the students who studied grammar every day. Isn't that incredible? That's the power of reading. It teaches your brain the natural flow of the language. It gives you examples, it gives you patterns, it gives you repetition, and over time your brain starts to own the language. So, if you've been learning English the old way and you still feel stuck, it's time for a new way, a better way. Reading isn't just easier, it's smarter, it's deeper, and it actually works. Now that you know how powerful reading is, you might be thinking, okay, I'm ready, but what should I read? That's a great question and an important one. Because choosing the wrong kind of book, that can make you bored. Worse, it can make you feel like giving up. And we don't want that. So here's my first tip. Don't read like you're in school. You're not preparing for an exam. You're not writing a book report. You're not trying to impress anyone. You're reading for one reason: to enjoy it. That's called reading for pleasure. It means you choose books that make you smile, stories that pull you in, that make you laugh, that touch your heart, maybe even bring a tear to your eye. Reading for pleasure is powerful. Why? Because when you enjoy the story, your brain relaxes. And when your brain is relaxed, it learns more. You don't need to understand every word. You don't need to stop and use a dictionary. You don't need to stress about grammar. You just read. Now, let me tell you something surprising. In Singapore, researchers did the same reading experiment I told you about earlier. And guess what? The students who read silently in class, not the ones who had grammar lessons, got the highest grammar scores. That's right. Reading beat grammar again. This isn't just someone's opinion. This is science. Why does this happen? Because grammar rules are just descriptions of patterns. When you do grammar exercises, you only see 1 or 2 examples. But when you read a story, you see the same pattern 20, 30, even 40 times, in different ways, with different words, in real sentences. Slowly, but surely, your brain learns the pattern. And one day, you don't think about the rule. You just know. The same thing goes for vocabulary. Let's be honest, vocabulary lists are boring. You learn the word, and then you forget it. Why? Because the brain doesn't remember words all alone. It remembers words in a sentence, in a story, in a picture, in an emotion. That's why stories work. They connect the word to something real. And speaking drills, sure, they help a bit. But if the words aren't inside you, how can you speak them? Reading puts the words inside you. It builds your library of language. So when it's time to speak, you actually have something to say. Let me tell you about another student, Lin from China. She came to me and said, I study hard. I memorize 20 new words every day, but when I speak, I don't use them. So I asked her, do you read? She shook her head. No time for reading. It's too slow. So we made a plan. Just 10 minutes a day. 1 short story, no dictionary, no stress. After 3 weeks, she walked into class with a huge smile and said, today I used 3 new words in my speaking, and I didn't even try. She was shocked, but I wasn't. That's what reading does. So yes, grammar rules are helpful. Vocabulary lists, speaking drills, sure. But if you want to really know English, if you want to think in English, feel the rhythm of the language, speak with ease, then you must read. Reading is not just something extra. It's not just a nice hobby. Reading is the heart of language learning, and science agrees. In the next chapter, we'll get practical. I'll show you how to choose the right book for your level. Books that are fun, easy, and just right for you. Because when you read the right books, everything changes. So, you're ready to start reading. That's amazing. But now you're asking the big question. What should I read? Well, let me tell you something important. Really important. You should read books that are fun and interesting for you. Not for your teacher. Not for a test. Not because someone told you it's good for your level. You choose. That's the secret to reading success. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, but fairy tales are for kids. I get it. You want to learn real English, business English, academic English, professional English. But here's a secret. Fairy tales, comics, and simple stories are full of real English. They use the words people say every day. They follow real grammar patterns, and most importantly, they're fun. If you enjoy the story, you will read more, and if you read more, you will learn more. It's really that simple. So let's break it down. What kinds of books are great for beginners? 1. Graded readers. These are books written especially for English learners. They come in levels like A1, A2, B1, so you can pick what fits you. They use simple words, short sentences, and easy grammar. Some of them are even famous stories, rewritten to help learners like you. These are a great place to start. 2. Fairy tales. Yes, fairy tales. You already know many of them in your own language. That helps a lot. When you know the story, it's easier to follow the English. And don't forget, fairy tales use everyday words. They teach the kind of English we speak in real life. 3. Comics. Comics are awesome. They're short, they have pictures, and they're full of real spoken English, jokes, slang, everyday phrases. Reading comics feels like play, not study. But guess what? Your brain is learning the whole time. Short stories are perfect. They're not too long. You can finish one in a day or two. And when you finish a story, you feel good. That gives you motivation to keep going. And that momentum, that's powerful. The 98% rule. Now, let's talk about something very important. How do you know if a book is right for you? There's a simple rule, and it's called the 98% rule. That means you should understand at least 98% of the words on the page. Almost every word. Maybe 1 or 2 new words per page, not per sentence. Because if there are too many new words, your brain gets tired. You stop enjoying the story. You pick up the dictionary every minute. That's not fun. And when it's not fun, you stop reading. But if you understand 98%, here's what happens. You can guess the new words. You follow the story. You learn naturally. And most importantly, you enjoy the process. And when you enjoy it, you keep going. Let me show you the difference. Here's a sentence where you understand only 90% of the words. Sarah fled the basil and went to the bluff. It was a very storm day. Huh? Confusing, right? Too many strange words. You feel lost. Now here's 98. Sarah opened the window and went to the park. It was a very warm day. Much better, right? Even if you don't know the word warm, you still understand the whole sentence. That's the power of 98%. So here's your permission slip. If a book is too hard, stop reading it. Don't feel bad. Don't feel like you're failing. You're not. Just find something easier. Remember, this is your English journey, and you get to enjoy it. How to build a daily reading habit. In the next chapter, I'll teach you exactly how to build a daily reading habit. Even if you're busy, tired, or just not feeling motivated. We'll keep it simple. We'll make it fun. But for now, let's answer some common questions. You've got a book. It's fun. It's not too hard. You're ready to start reading. But then the questions come in. Should I read fast or slow? Should I look up words? Should I read the same book again? How do I know if I'm doing it right? Don't worry, you're not alone. These are great questions, and in this chapter, I'll give you the answers, step by step. Let's learn how to read the smart way. Read for pleasure, not for perfection. This is the most important idea. When you read, your goal is not to understand every word. Your goal is not to study. Your goal is simple. Enjoy the story. When you enjoy, you read more. When you read more, you learn more. That's the magic formula. So stop worrying, relax, smile, and let the English flow into your brain. Read fast, not slow. Now, I know this sounds strange. Many students think, if I read slowly, I will understand more. But actually, if you go too slow, your brain gets tired. You focus too much on grammar, you stop too often, and soon reading feels like work. So here's my advice. Read faster than you think you can, even if you don't understand every word, even if you miss something. Why? Because your brain is learning from the patterns, not from the details. It's seeing the same structures again and again. That's what makes you fluent. So keep going. Don't stop every 5 seconds. Just let the story carry you forward. Don't use a dictionary while reading. This is hard for many learners, but it's a game changer. Put the dictionary away. Yes, you heard me. No dictionary while you read. Why? Because stopping breaks the rhythm. It breaks the joy. And most of the time, you don't need it. When you read in context, in a sentence, in a story, you can often guess the meaning. And even if you don't know the exact meaning, it's okay. Your brain is still learning. Later, when you see the word again, it will make more sense. The more you guess, the better you get. You're training your brain to understand English naturally, like a native speaker. Read the same book more than once. Many people ask me, should I read one book many times or many books once? My answer? Both are great. But reading the same book again is powerful. Why? The second time, it's easier. You already know the story. You already understand the characters, so your brain relaxes. You notice more grammar. You see more patterns. You understand more deeply. The first time is for the story. The second time is for the language. It's like listening to your favorite song. The more you hear it, the more you understand the lyrics. So don't be afraid to reread. It's not boring, it's smart. You don't have to finish every book. Yes, really. If you start a book and you don't like it, stop. If it feels too hard, if it's boring, stop. You are not in school. You are not reading for a grade. You are reading for yourself. Life is too short to read boring books. So listen to your heart. If the book doesn't make you happy, find one that does. Because the right book is out there, waiting for you. Let's review the smart way to read. Choose easy, fun books. Read fast. Don't worry about every word. Don't use a dictionary. Let your brain guess. Reread your favorite books. Stop reading if it's not fun. When you read this way, reading becomes a joy, not a chore, not homework, just something you love doing every day. And the best part? Your English improves, without stress, without pressure, and without pain. That's the power of reading. Coming up next. In the next chapter, we'll talk about how reading improves your speaking. Yes, reading can help you speak better. You'll find out how reading silently can lead to confident, natural speaking, and I'll show you the exact connection. Why stories work better than grammar books. Stories are powerful, and in this chapter, you'll see why. Why does reading stories help you learn English better than studying grammar books? Why do stories stay in your mind longer than vocabulary lists? Let's look at the science and the magic behind it. Grammar books give you rules. Stories give you life. Grammar books are useful. They explain rules. She has gone is present perfect. We were watching is past continuous. That's helpful, but it's not enough. Your brain doesn't learn best from rules. It learns from patterns, and stories are full of patterns. In a story, you see how people really speak. You see grammar in action. You feel the flow. You feel the emotion. That's what makes it stick. Word lists give you definitions. Stories give you meaning. Imagine this. You read whisper, verb to speak very quietly. That's a definition. You might remember it. Now picture this. The little girl tiptoes into the dark room. She leans over her brother and says, "Don't wake up, Mom," she whispers. Now you see it, you hear it, you feel it. You don't just understand the word, you remember it. That's the power of context. Stories teach grammar naturally. In class you learn a rule. She has gone to the store is present perfect. In a story, you see, she has gone to the store. He has just finished dinner. They have already left. You don't stop to analyze. You just read. Your brain sees the pattern. Has, have, past participle. And soon, you just know it. Like native speakers. No rules, just input. Stories build vocabulary that stays. Want to learn more words? Read more stories. Stories give you context, emotion, repetition. Here's the word angry. On a list, it's just a word. But in a story you read, he looked at her, angry. She shouted with an angry voice. The angry dog barked all night. His face turned red. He was very angry. Why did you do that? He asked angrily. Now your brain has pictures, sounds, and emotions. You don't just know angry, you know how to use it. That's deep learning. Even fun stories teach serious words. Think stories are too simple? Think again. One study looked at science fiction books. It found words like environment, process, system, result, analysis. Another study looked at 22 fun novels. Result, 85% of the vocabulary came from academic word lists. So yes, even fairy tales can teach professional English. You don't need a textbook. You need a good story. Let's review. Grammar books equals rules. Stories equals patterns. Word lists equals words. Stories equals meaning. Stories help you feel the language. Stories give you input, emotion, and connection. Stories make learning fun. If you want English to stay in your brain, read stories. How to build a reading habit that changes everything. You know the power of stories. You know reading changes your brain. But here's the big question. How do you keep going? How do you build a habit that lasts? Let's be honest. Starting is easy. Staying consistent, that's the hard part. Here's a simple truth. Reading every day is better than reading a lot once a week. Why? Because learning is like watering a plant. If you pour a big bucket of water on Sunday, then nothing for 6 days. The plant dries out. But if you water it a little every day, it grows, slowly, steadily. That's your brain. You don't need 5 hours in one day, you need 10 minutes every day. That's the magic formula. Start small. Don't try to read for 1 hour on the first day. You'll get tired. You'll stop. Start with 5 to 10 minutes. Pick something easy. Pick something fun. That's enough. 5 minutes might feel small, but 5 minutes every day becomes powerful over time. It's like brushing your teeth. A small daily action with a big result. Choose the right time. Good habits happen at the same time each day. Ask yourself, when can I read? In the morning with coffee? On the bus? Before sleep? Choose a time that feels natural. Set a reminder on your phone. Make it part of your routine. Reading should feel like a break, not a task. Create a reading space. You don't need a special desk. Just a space where your brain says, this is reading time. Maybe it's a quiet corner, a chair by the window, your bed before sleep. Turn off distractions. Silence your phone. Keep your book or e-reader ready. Let your brain relax. Let the story pull you in. Track your progress. Here's a simple but powerful trick. Track your reading. Each day write down what you read, for how long, how you felt. Use a notebook, an app, or a calendar. Put a star on the days you read. It sounds small, but when you see 10 stars in a row, you feel proud. That feeling keeps you going. Be kind to yourself. Some days you'll miss your reading. That's okay, don't feel guilty. Just come back the next day. Success doesn't mean perfect. It means you keep going. Even if you miss one day, you're still doing better than stopping completely. Be kind. Be patient. Keep going. Reward yourself. Yes, reward yourself. Finish a book, celebrate. Read every day for a week. Treat yourself. Maybe watch an English movie. Eat your favorite food. Tell a friend, I finished a book in English. Make reading feel good. When something feels good, you want to do it again. Read what you love. This is the most important part. Don't read things that feel boring. Don't read something just because someone says it's useful. Read what makes you smile, what makes you curious, what makes you want to turn the page. Maybe it's a love story, a mystery, a fairy tale, a comic, a fantasy with dragons, a story about daily life. If you enjoy it, read it. Joy is the best teacher. Let's review. To build a strong reading habit, 1. Start small. 5 minutes is enough. 2. Read at the same time every day. 3. Create a cozy reading. 4. Track your progress. 5. Be kind when you miss a day. 6. Reward yourself. 7. Read what you love. You're not just learning English. You're building a new part of your life. English becomes something you live, in the morning, in quiet moments, in your personal growth. And it all starts with one small habit: daily reading. Thank you so much for listening all the way to the end. I hope today's episode gave you the inspiration to start or continue your daily English reading habit. Remember, you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be consistent. Every page you read brings you one step closer to confidence, freedom, and a better version of yourself. If you found this helpful, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you won't miss future episodes. Feel free to leave a comment and share your thoughts. I truly enjoy connecting with you and being part of your English learning journey. Once again, thank you so much. I'll see you in the next episode.